stand by me, stand by me.
Hello, all my friends. It's time again for another episode of Two Pastors and a Guest. Awesome, neat little show that we got that we just kind of started. This is our second episode. So we're starting a little bit slower today just because we ended up with a couple little technical things, but we got it all figured out and working. And we are going right now through Zoom and into Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And so we're really excited about tonight. We have awesome new guests tonight. We got 5 of us on today on here, it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce everybody. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me okay. Everybody wave, say hi. Ah, there we go. Awesome. So again, my name is Brian Callies, or Pastor Brian Callies with Brian Callies Ministries. And we started this television show to try to get us to working together on issues, on real topics, talking about real talk, not the stuff that you kind of keep, in PC world, and everybody's not going to talk about anything that might rub somebody the other way. We're not here to rub each other. What we are here to do, though, is to try to come together and talk for real and see if we can't come and bring some new ideas and some new insights on some things. And so that's a little bit about me. To my right here is Scott Callies. He is with, and yes, the name does sound familiar, right? So Scott Callies is my brother. He won't always admit that, but Scott Callies is with XL7 TV out of Mountain Home. He's zooming in from Mountain Home, Arkansas, and K27 TV and from Harrison, Arkansas. And so say hi, Scott.
Hey everybody, I'm glad to be here.
Hey Scott.
And we got Steve Ball. Steve Ball is a retired Memphis firefighter. He also works right now with USISB, and he's going to tell us a little bit about that. So, Steve?
USISB, United States Investigative Services Bureau, worked with the Special Crimes Unit, which is missing, exploited, and sex trafficked children. We investigate, mitigate, and recover and return to a safe environment any of those children. And right now, that's all we do. Although we have been called into a couple of other missing persons cases, but our purview is the children.
Perfect. Great to have you, Steve. Again, you were with us last night for our opening debut night. And then we also have Apostle Dedrick Brookins. So now Apostle Dedrick is pastors a church called Triumphant Ministries. He is the god brother of our other awesome pastor here, Charles Matthews. So, hey, Apostle Dedrick, it's great to see you. Great to have you.
Unmute him.
Good deal. And it looks like he's driving, so please try to be safe, or he's riding, it looks like. So, I'm grateful to have you. And then we got, of course, Pastor Charles Matthews. So we started this thing with 2 pastors and a guest, and believe it or not, that was one of my other pastors right there. So, he is an accomplished musician. He is the pastor. He does all kinds of great things. And the music that you heard before, that was actually Charles playing the bass on that. He can play just about any instrument, but thank you, Charles, for coming back out today, buddy.
Thank you all.
Well, we're excited about some stuff we got going. We got going pretty good on some topics last night, and so tonight we're going to kind of take it where we left off last night a little bit, and want to remind everybody here, we're all here to kind of, obviously state what you really feel. Let's talk for real. Let's just have a discussion together and see how if we can come closer. But we want you to hold on to what you think is right, and go ahead and don't be shy about saying what you think is right. So, but we're not going to get angry or upset with anybody. We're just going to really keep this into a nice place. So we're going to start off. We're going to talk about the COVID-19 or the coronavirus kind of thing. And we kind of ended there yesterday. I know Steve knows a lot about that kind of stuff. And so, there's a lot of neat new stuff, things that they're coming out with. So they shut down the country basically, and they locked it down. Now I'm hearing they're starting to unlock those things. I read that the beaches in Florida, I think, are going to start to be, or they have already been, opened back up. And then there's that whole thing about trying to keep distance from everybody. And just want to hear what everybody has to think about that. So he wants to take it away.
Well, I guess I can start. Jacksonville was scheduled to open up the beaches at 5 p.m. Eastern time tonight. And from everything I've heard, they have done it, but they're still practicing the social distancing. There are, all right, the Trump administration announced last night a three-phase economic recovery. What they're trying to do is open up the economy again, but he's not trying to do it by himself. He's doing it on a state-by-state basis, letting the governors take over, because each state is different. Like right now, Alaska doesn't have hardly anything, whereas New York State does. They have a lot. So that, of course, they're going to be different. They're going to go along different guidelines. You have to be 14 days on a downward curve as far as cases and mortality rates. So nobody's really going to get there right now, except maybe Alaska, who has less than 400 cases total.
Alaska's only got 1,400 cases right now.
No, 400 cases. They only have
400.
They have less than 100 deaths. Well, I mean, you're looking at Alaska. I mean, other than Fairbanks.
Well, with snow, is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that most of the people in Alaska aren't jumbled up into cities.
No,
that's where you're going to see. That's where you're going to see the biggest problems in metropolitan areas. But other than Fairbanks and Anchorage, Alaska's pretty spread out. They already have social distancing.
Yeah, we're now. So the audience knows. So Steve and I are from Memphis, Tennessee, calling in from Memphis. Pastor Charles is in Mississippi, and Apostle Dedrick, where are you from? Where are you calling in from?
From Mississippi.
Mississippi as well. So
Yes, sir.
I think Steve and I are probably in the largest city that's being represented here. And Charles and Apostle Dedrick are in the second. And then Scott is up in this beautiful town called Mountain Home, Arkansas. Population of what? What do you think, brother?
About 12,000.
About 12,000. So,
Yeah.
So from a smaller town, so I'm really kind of interested how all this is translating to smaller town stuff as well. What do you think, Scott?
Well, we still got impacted, but it's not growing like it would in the bigger cities where everybody's kind of populated together and 12,000 people. When you look at where you guys are at in Memphis, 650,000 people. When you go shopping, you're rubbing elbows with people. For us, even going into Walmart right now, there's not a waiting line to get in, or there's not that, and you're able to keep the distance without there being a big issue. So for us, social distancing has been a lot easier. On the other side, we deal with a lot of mom and pop stores. So by them being closed and things that have happened, I'm really excited to see what we've got left when we go to open back up. Still a who's still able to open their doors back up. It affected a lot of these small businesses really hard.
Well, so just to give some more insight, so Scott in Mountain Home, to put it in perspective, in Memphis, we've got a bunch of Walmarts and Targets and you name it. You know, we got a lot of those kind of stores and a lot of small businesses. In Arkansas, Mountain Home, Arkansas, they got Walmart. And then there's just the Walmart, pretty much, right?
Yeah, we got one Walmart. That's your main store. We got a couple grocery stores and stuff, but yeah, we've got one Walmart, and that's it.
And no competitor really, no Targets or any of that, right? So you're based, your area is based primarily on small businesses. That's what holds Mountain Home up, right?
And we've got a few larger businesses. We've got a Lowe's, we've got a Home Depot, stuff like that. But majority of the businesses and the booming for us is small businesses. And we focus a lot on tourism to survive, which is shut down completely right now as far as any outside tourism or anything going on here.
So it's safe to say though that Mountain Home's really hurting as far as the small business stuff goes, and they're shutting down, right? And then same thing, Apostle Derek, Pastor Charles, what do you guys think? Is that hitting Mississippi pretty hard as well? Same kind of thing?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, actually, especially here, they got the lines at Walmart, and they let only so many people in at a time. Same thing at Sam's Club, they just letting so many people in at a time because it's still so crowded. And the thing about it is that even getting in there, and then they'll say, well, keep 6 feet as much as you possibly can, but it's kind of hard to do in a place like this because you got so many people, and you got to understand South Haven is one of the great shopping areas. We're right at Memphis, but a lot of people like to come here to shop, even to eat or whatever, So you got a lot of people still, not just from Mississippi, but a lot of people from Memphis that's here shopping. So you got to imagine it's still quite a few folks, here.
So when you look at what we've got out there, the big thing is on one hand where the businesses are getting hurt and economy is going down. On the other hand, they're trying to keep people safe by everybody doing stuff at home. So what I hear is they're now going to unlock all this stuff, right? And they're going to let everybody back in now because I think we got hit hard enough on the business side. What are your thoughts?
In phases.
In phases, is that what they're saying?
There's going to be 3 phases. Like I said, before you even open up phase 1, the state has to have 14 straight days of a downward trend on new cases and mortality rate.
Okay.
That's before you can even open up phase 1. But that's up to the governor. Okay, the governor's going to be the ones that open up. It's going to open up state by state. And a lot of states have been talking, a lot of governors have been talking between themselves because like Mississippi, Arkansas, and Tennessee, okay, we have the little tri-state area. Well, if Tennessee opens up and Mississippi doesn't, then the people from Mississippi or Arkansas are going to come here to shop and do whatever, and vice versa with the other states. So it's going to be, it's up to the governors, but I'm pretty sure in areas like this, there's going to be a regional compromise between the governors.
Gotcha.
And first off, it's going to be a little easing. Most of the restaurants won't be opened up until phase 2, and then they'll have to have just minimum guidelines. They're talking about like families that are quarantined together. Like if I went with my son and granddaughters into a restaurant, we could sit together and it's no problem. If you're quarantined together, you can sit together, but you'd be a minimum of probably around 10 feet away from the next table. And then each phase is going to just give you a little more liberation. If I went into the whole thing, it would take the whole hour, but
Yeah.
It's easy to look up online.
Well, we wanted to start this off and try to get everybody's view on some things on the COVID deal, and if whether or not it's a good idea for us to all go back Before we head off to the next topic, is there anything else you guys want to say on that side?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's a good thing, because like I said, businesses are losing a lot of money, and when the business is hurt, our towns hurt and all those things. But also on the other hand, it's kind of still putting everybody in a kind of I guess you can say in a position to where they are subject to the same thing. And as Steve said, and what happens if it don't go over the 14 days
Right.
without a case popping up? And the thing about it is that then you still got the same situation. And right now, I think it's kind of mellow right now, but I think it's going to get a little rougher because, you can kind of see the anxiousness of people that don't care and don't really want to follow rules. You got a lot of people, they don't care about following rules at all, in spite of whether it's going to hurt them or not, or anybody else. They don't care. They just do what they do. I tell people I go to the store and I put on a mask because I'm wise, not worried. But you have to be wise, you got to be wise, so, and you got to try to comply. And you got a lot of people that don't want to comply.
Well, they have a term for that. They're called COVIDians.
Okay, yeah, see, right, see, and the thing about it, and it's sad that it's that way because then it makes it hard for everybody. So what happens is that now you got a lot of people got to deal with at the stores that working in the stores. They got real bad attitudes because they got to deal with all this. So and then you got you got to watch yourself so that you won't get the same attitude, And I think a lot of them need to come directly at you with their attitude or ugliness, but because they've been bombarded by all the other people that's being ugly with them, they taking it out on whoever, So I think that it's good in a way, but then on the other side, the fence, that's the problem still.
Well, it is. I mean, and everybody being quarantined, they're talking about public health. They're actually talking about, medical, physical health. But then there's the other thing is there's the mental health aspect of it is getting real bad. Suicides are up. A lot of people, are just, they're going into depressive states. They're not used to not being out. They're not used to, and a lot of people are single. So when they're quarantined, they're all by themselves. I mean, most of them don't even have a dog or a cat. So that can really take its toll on a person.
Oh yeah. Apostle Brigham, what do you think about it?
Well, I just think, we got to be safe, got to be careful, and, just try to follow the guidelines to stay, safe and keep our family safe. And, with me, I got to worry about my family and my church family. So, we gotta pretty much just try to follow the rules and just try to encourage everybody to do the right thing. Everybody just want to do their own thing, but we got to do the right thing so we can get rid of this thing.
Well, I think right now, thank you, Apostle Brookins. I think right now, so we can all pretty much agree that America has officially been tested. We all have had testing in some way, having to stay home and they're not having enough money to pay your, what did I hear? 33% of the mortgages last month could not be paid. And then I heard another scary statistic that 40% of churches are expected to go down because of this. And so I want to talk about that for a second because it's kind of interesting. Right now, this is where people are sometimes their faith changes because they're being challenged in so many ways. When your life is challenged, a lot of times that's when you make decisions. You want to change or you're looking for something. And what we found at our church, and this is just our church, it doesn't mean anything. It's just we finally went online because we had to at our church, but our attendance is actually up. It's not down. And so that was encouraging, right? Because more and more people are able to hook up with and connect to the church because they are now maybe it's easier to do at home when you don't have to you can leave your pajama bottoms on and get dressed up on the top like we're doing, you know. But I think that challenge is important, and I think maybe that's something that's going on in America today. What do y'all think about that?
And I think that'd be a great for Pastor Brookins. What you think, Pastor Brookins?
I think he had popped out, and
Okay.
you there,
Well,
Pastor Brooks?
well, I think that well, I'll speak on it, and I think you're right. What you said it's right, because see, a lot of churches are hurting, but in the same token, I think it's also hoping. I'm hoping that maybe a lot of them will see that is not, especially with the church, it's not all about the money. It's more about saving souls and getting people to understand that it's about God. And just like with me, I said this. I would say at one point, I said, well, you know what? I ain't worried about that because, you know, I'm in God's care. And that's true. That's very true. I am in God's care. But even God is a wise God. He, you know, you know what I mean? So the thing about it is that don't mean I don't trust him. But what that means is that I'm wise enough to know that I got to take some steps in some in making sure that not only am I safe, you know, but even other people, because at this point, nobody know who has it, you know.
Right.
So like I said, but as far as the churches go, you got a lot of churches, they are hurting because they got to do, because on the real side of it, they do still have a mortgage. The building still got to be there. They still got well, they working with people with the light bills and things like that and the utilities. But we all know and understand that there's a whole big difference in a church, because it's considered as a business when it comes to the utility companies, you know, so their bills are a lot higher than ours at home as a residential, you know. Right. So the thing about it is that your churches are hurting, you know, when it comes to that. And this the thing about it, we do need the buildings. Well, I take it back, because we're the church. We do need the building, you know, the place of worship, because it's helping a lot of people. You know, may not everyone, you know, in churches operate differently, but I know a lot of them that are helping a lot of people. Watch this in every way. Just like, for example, a perfect example, you know, my church, you know, they help a lot of people, you know. Brown Baptist helps a lot of people. Mississippi Boulevard helps a lot of people. Bellevue, man, helps a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And this is the thing about it, no matter, even if you got a lot of people that still may be, you know, contributing with office and tithes, the fact of the matter is that because of the amount of people that Bellevue helps and Mississippi Boulevard helps and Brown Baptist help, man, it ain't the same with the income, because everybody, because I can almost guarantee you that everybody's not giving the tithes and offering, because it's a different than being there and not being there. So everybody not giving them. Not only that, because people are hurting. Some people don't have a job, they can't give it. Some people they're laid off, their jobs closed up. The restaurants closed. Some of them restaurant workers or wherever else, you know. And some of the places, guess what? They're gonna have so many people in there when they're closed and they don't have dining room, dining. So the fact of the matter is that everybody's hurting. So the fact of the matter is that how do we come about, you know, getting above that? Because the churches are hurting. They're hurting bad. And there's nothing wrong with the fact of them churches expecting to kind of hopefully have some kind of contributions still coming into them. But how can it happen if they have to give?
It sounds like we're kind of moving from like a lot of the churches. I'm going to give a couple shout outs real quick for Charlie Caswell, Ricky Floyd.
Yeah.
They had to change and shift their model so that a little bit, so because nobody's coming into the church anymore. So right. Instead, they went out and actually did street ministries. Like they're out, like what they do, they gave away free gas for 100 or so people in their area. They gave free groceries out. Right. They're constantly out trying to help, which I think is an encouragement. I think that gets back to a little bit more of what church is supposed to be. It's a little less, in my opinion, a little less about a building and going to a place and getting all dressed up and pretty. And it's a little more about serving and being out there and doing that kind of stuff. And I think that's actually been a good thing now. So that we kind of get that back into that. Let's get off of the multi-billion-dollar buildings, and let's go back out and try to serve people again. Remember, pick up the phone and call them. That changes things. Those relationships change everything. My pastor in my group, what they started doing, they started calling everybody.
Yeah.
Shoot, we should have been doing that from day one. But I got a dozen phone calls this week from just different people checking up on me. I'm like, I never had that before the virus. So some ways I think this has actually been an inspirational thing, something to help us to get to another place.
Well, it also like there's a lot of churches, like say Bellevue. Let's just take Bellevue. Bellevue has been doing televised services for decades. My great grandmother used to tell everybody, "Shut up, Adrian's on." Right. So they've been doing that. I mean, they picked up on that. The first one I remember, and I watched on Sunday, was Reverend Horace Mays. So, and then that just built and built and built. And a lot of churches, like I was a member of a small town church at one point in time, a small country church, one in town. And they had a really good audiovisual team, and they broadcast over the internet every service. And even Bellevue gets a lot of tithes and offerings electronically from all these people. Now, my great grandmother was not even in this area. She was in Dyersburg, which is 85 miles from Bellevue. So it's affecting a lot of people differently. And if a lot of people, they could do Zoom, they could do Facebook, they could do all kind of things, to broadcast to their congregation. And if they have, I'm sure they could come up with some way. And Brian, you've already done this with Saving Lost Kids. You can text your donations in. So
yeah.
There's a lot of different things that can be done, depending on your particular demographic, your congregation, where you're at, how you do business, what you're capable of doing. And a lot of people could even help with that. If the churches are in trouble, Pastor Charles and Apostle Dedrick, just ask somebody for help with that.
Right.
And maybe you can get it out to your congregation that there is a way to, text or electronically, send your tithes and offerings, and keep that church's doors basically open, even though they can't, congregate in groups. That'll keep the services open and keep the church running.
Yeah. And my thing about it, like I said, that is good. You're right. That's true. But again, but what happened is that I don't think it's so much probably of the giving with most of the people right now, because most of the people that's at the church, even when I was calling out names, I wasn't just meaning to call out just all of what they consider the bigger churches, because there are a lot of small churches that's giving. But the thing about it is that at the small churches, what happens is that a lot of those people was already probably, as they would, old Sam would say, probably robbing Peter to pay Paul to make sure they get their tithes paid or be able to give an offering. So the thing about it, and I don't think it's so much that people don't want to give. At this point, expensive, because a lot of people are laid off from their jobs because everything is closed down. They can't give.
No,
well,
as
I'm going to hold y'all right there for just a minute. We have to take a quick commercial break.
Okay.
And when we get back, let's continue that discussion. And also, I want to talk to you guys about, is this virus, do you think it's a punishment from God? So I want y'all to weigh in on that when we get back. But we're going to do a quick commercial break. And we've got Terry Waxler with Cruise Planners, amazing travel consultant. And take it away, Terry.
Hi, I'm Terry Waxler with Cruise Planners, American Express Travel Representative. I am your travel concierge. My job, like most concierges, is to make sure that your travel is as stress-free as possible. And that's what I do. I do that by listening to you, and then I fit you with your travel dreams and wishes. When planning your next vacation, I work hard to find the best value for you. I am a full-service travel agency. Even though the title says Cruise Planners, I don't just book cruises. I book all travel, from hotel rooms to all-inclusive resorts. I even book Disney. I do specialize in groups, honeymoons, and of course, I specialize in Disney. When you're ready to travel again, and travel will resume, and we will be ready to travel, please keep me in mind. Remember, Cruise Planners, Terry Waxler, 901-867-6799.
Great, great, great. Great to see you again.
Thank you.
Great to see you again, Terry. Got a couple questions for you. So this is actually, for those of you who don't know, this is actually my travel consultant as well. So if there's anything that I need, rental cars, if I need to go somewhere in an airplane, if I want to take a vacation or whatever, I can just go to Terry. And let me tell you a little bit about how much she costs. Terry, how much does it cost me to talk to you about booking a trip to Hawaii?
I do not charge a fee.
So it doesn't cost anything.
No.
So she will work for you for free to get you the best deals that she's good at getting, really making the most of your vacations and stuff like that. So Terry, I want to thank you for all that you've done for us and helped us and what you're going to do for us in the future. When all this gets unlocked and we get to start moving. So, and when can we go ahead and start booking things now, even though we don't understand really what's going to happen in the next month or two or whatever?
Yes, I'm looking at working with several clients booking for August through the end of the year, and some of them are even looking at booking for next year. So there are a lot of good values out there right now to go ahead and look at and start booking toward the end of the year. Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Terry, thank you so much, y'all. If you ever need anything, Terry Waxler's are the best way to go on that. So thank you, Terry, for coming on and for supporting us.
Thank you.
All right, we're back again. Looks like Scott Cowles is going to be popping back in. It looks like he had a little bit of a connection issue. And as you guys can probably hear right now, I'm in the middle of a rainstorm, so it is just pouring down here right now. So you guys are having a hard time hearing me. That's hopefully not. That's what it is. But let's get back to our discussion real quick. So what we left off with, Charles, you want to get us started with where we left off, and I'd like us to start. I want to know what you think God's doing in this picture. So I've heard some things about, maybe this is God's punishment for America or some other things. I've heard that side. I've also heard some other things. So Charles, what are you thinking, buddy?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think it's necessary that God is punishing us. I think I know God is getting our attention, because a lot of these things, I think a lot of this, that's going on have to do with us and our disobedience, not listening. Even with the fact of right now, like they say, they was asking everybody to wear the masks and do the gloves. Nobody wanted to be obedient to that. So guess what? That you come up, you can possibly, catch whatever there is which is this coronavirus, that's out here, and you don't even know you have it. They say. So the fact of the matter is that I think a lot of it is on us, because we're not being wise for real toward a lot of things. Also, I mean, and when
what do you think? Do you agree with Apostle Dedrick? Do you agree with that?
Yes, sir. Wholeheartedly agree.
Good deal. Good deal. So what are you thinking about this time? Is this something that God's upset, punishing us? Is he angry? Is he teaching us something? What do you think?
I don't think he's just so much upset. I just feel that it's time for the church to turn back to God. Everybody's pretty much out of whack, doing their own thing, going around here. Just, the church sort of look like the world now. It ain't looking like how the church should be. He said, my house shall be called the house of prayer. But it's so much going on in the churches today, in the city, and the leaders are asleep. The church is really asleep. The people, because we are the church. The building is just the building. But we are the church as the people.
Yep.
I feel like if we wake up and hear what he's saying to the church, to the people of God, and follow his order and turn back, 2 Chronicles 7:14 says, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways and pray, then when I hear from heaven, forgive them for their sins and heal the land. In order for the land to be healed, we got to turn back to our first love, which is God, Jesus Christ, our Savior. And until we do that, then we're going to constantly be in this. This is nothing but a plague. And the plague is something like what's going on. And until we realize that he allowed this to happen, can nothing happen unless God
Hold on,
allow it.
you just
So
said
he allowed
something.
this to happen.
Yeah, you just said something right there. Would you say that again? God did what?
Can nothing happen unless God allow it?
There you go. There you go. I will agree with that.
Sir.
I will agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yes, sir. So that's where we at.
I totally agree. So if God allowed this to happen, well, I didn't even hear from you, Steve. What are you thinking on this? I see you're chomping at the bit on something.
No, not really chomping at the bit, but yeah, I do have a couple of things to add. God does allow it to happen because God granted us something that he didn't grant anybody else, was free will.
Yes.
Now that's the thing is, I mean, he's allowing it to happen because he gave us free will. All right. It's basically like, okay, you made your bed, now you get to sleep in it.
That's it.
But I don't think he's punishing us. And I'll just say one word from that, and everybody going to see everybody go, oh, yeah, rainbow.
Yeah.
Ah,
That was the promise. That was the seal on the deal. He would not
For those
punish
who
us
don't
like
know,
that again.
For those that don't know, Steve, tell us what the rainbow represents.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, the rainbow was after the great flood. Moses saw the rainbow. That was God showing him he promised not to destroy the earth again, not to punish us like that again. So I do not believe this is a punishment. A lot of people are going to say, yeah, it's God punishing us. Oh, if we deserve punishment, we're going to get it in the end. Don't worry about that.
Yes.
But I don't think God is punishing, some people say he's punishing the country. Well, it's the United States is, yeah, okay, and 184 other countries are being punished. So he's not just punishing the United States. As a matter of fact, statistically, we have a lower per capita rate of infections and deaths than most of the other countries. I mean, if you were to put a map of the United States, actual size, on Europe, we would cover almost all of Europe.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of people are talking about these big numbers. Oh my God, they're not as big as they could have been. And per capita, they're not as big as most other countries. So God, if you were to look at it that way, God is punishing other countries more than us.
Yeah.
But so I don't think it's a punishment at all. I don't think God is angry. I think God is sad. I think God is hurt.
Yes, that's it.
So watching what we do to each other and what's come out. I mean, what was 3 weeks considered a conspiracy theory is now the major theory of it wasn't the wet market, but it was the bioinfectious disease lab in Wuhan. So, I think, you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much, that's pretty much the free will.
Yeah.
Scott,
Okay,
what do you think?
He gives us free will to make those decisions. They backfire.
Okay.
Yep.
Brian, I don't know Scott on yet, but may I say this also, Brian? The thing about it also is you got to understand, as Pastor Brookins said, and even as Steve said, what they said is just a true fact. And what's been happening is, see, we didn't as God's people, we've lost fellowship with one another, and we've lost fellowship with God. So the fact of the matter is that in order to get back where we need to be with God, we got to get back where we need to be with one another. That's the problem. See, so our fellowship is the problem. See, we fell out of fellowship. Nobody cares for real about anybody else. It seems like everybody is for themselves. Even a lot of the church, guess what? You got a lot of them, they're out just for the money and not caring for the souls. They just kind of fell off, when it comes to what God expects of us. which is is togetherness, unity and strength, having agape love, having a love for one another, that no matter what, nothing can break it, nothing causes us to turn on one another, against one another, because it ain't us, but it's the God that live in us.
I agree with you, Charles. And so, Apostle Dedrick, let me ask you about that just for a second, because Charles brought up a good point about fellowship, brother. What's the two? Jesus was asked, and I'll ask you because I know you know this. Jesus was asked, "What's the two most important commandments? What are we supposed to do to please God?" And could you please share with us what Jesus' response was to that?
To love our brothers as ourselves and to love God
Yeah,
with all our
love
heart,
God.
mind, and soul.
And so, love God first, with all your
Right.
heart and mind. And then your second one, he said, is like the first, but it is to love your neighbor as yourself.
Yes, sir.
When we fall out of that fellowship thing, I think that is absolutely, like Charles is saying, the back of my, it's not pleasing to God to fall out of the fellowship thing, because he commanded us to fellowship together and to do
Right.
things together. And so, Charles, I totally agree with you, brother. What do you think, Bubba?
I kind of caught the tail end of this. I had a computer glitch and I had to reboot. But you look at the fact that you asked if you thought God was trying to punish us or teach us something, and I don't believe that that's the case. However, I think there are some major lessons to be learned at this point. Everything that goes on in your life, God will help you learn a lesson from if you will just look and listen and look at him. And I think there is a big lesson to learn here. And you can see this a lot through the churches, that a lot of the, I deal with a lot of smaller churches here, and we help them be able to get online and put cameras in and be able to get onto Facebook. A lot of these churches have been very against that. Your bigger churches already set up online. They've already got people coming in, but your smaller churches, they want that relationship. They want that personal one-on-one, rather than just somebody sitting home watching it on Facebook every now and then. They want to know that they're interacting and they're touching and they're moving. But you turn around and you look at these churches that have now added Facebook and had to go take these steps. They're seeing their churches grow considerably, so they're reaching people. So now it's going to be cool to see how they make that transition. We don't want to probably drop the Facebook, because we are reaching a lot of people, and people right now are listening. And really amazing when our steps lately have been removing God from things. We remove God from school. We remove God from this. And it's kind of nice to see people coming back, and you're seeing that grow back through Facebook and different things, where people are trying to reconnect. And I think people are starting to open their eyes and realize, hey, we're losing focus on what's important. And this is the aftermath of us pushing them away and us doing our own thing.
Brother, I could not. That is my brother from another mother, but it's also my brother from my real mother. And so that's Bubby, I could not be more proud of your response right there. I could not agree with you more. But did I hear you right, though? Did you say that some of the bigger churches are disappointed or frustrated or something, or have a problem with the smaller churches doing this?
No. And don't get me wrong. No, it was the smaller churches that were kind of against going the Facebook and the online route, because they want that hands-on relationship. They want
I see.
We've got a lot of living room churches, is what I call them. It's all about that relationship. It's all about that contact, and they don't want to lose that by people taking the easy road and not getting those relationships and just staying home watching it on Facebook. And so I know there was a lot of hesitant on that route. But it's really made a difference as far as reaching people right now. And a lot of them, people that we have not been reaching, they haven't been looking to God, and they haven't, but now they're scared. They're worried. They're like, what has happened? Where are we going now? And they're starting to turn to look at God and for those answers of what do we do now?
Right. Well, it's not an either or situation. That's the thing. It's not either you're in the church or you're watching online or on TV. It's not an either or situation. Like I said about my great grandmother, she was 96 years old up in Dyersburg. She couldn't get to church. but she saw Brother Adrian on TV, man, and that was her thing. And you did not make noise when Dr. Rogers was on TV. It didn't. You did it, and you got a will switch. But it's a lot of other people's. I mean, the people in nursing homes, they can't get to church.
Yeah.
But they can watch it online. They can watch it on TV. So it's never has been an either or thing.
Yeah.
It's always been reach as many as you can, whatever way you can. Now, granted, you'd want them in the church.
Yeah.
And, it even makes for better TV if you think about it. But you want them in the church, but you want to reach those other people that can't get to church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they work, on Sunday mornings. I mean, cops, firefighters, military, whatever. But hey, they can record it and watch it later.
Yeah.
So there's there's always an upside to the downside.
Oh yeah.
You just got
I
to look
think
for
it's
it.
opened a lot of churches' eyes to that. By, like I said, some of these smaller churches that have never done Facebook and now realizing the amount of people that they are reaching by just taking one other step and one other thing. So I think that I'm going to be excited on how this goes from here, because I really see a lot of changes in the church's viewpoint when it comes to that. And a lot of some of these smaller churches, we're reaching a lot of people now. And there's a lot of people that are listening that were not listening before.
Yeah. And Scott, I'm glad you said that. Listen, if I may say this, watch this. It's amazing that you said that, because I'm gonna tell you, one of the biggest problem is with a lot of the smaller churches, it's tradition with them. They're so caught up on tradition, they don't know how to change. And the thing about it is that, guess what? If you preaching and teaching the word of God, it's effective. If you're not real and doing it for real from your heart for God, guess what? From the Spirit of God, then it ain't effective anyway. It's just as effective. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know the word scripture says we should forsake not ourselves to fellowship with one another. So it's good to come together. But on the same token, if you preaching and teaching the unadulterated gospel, whether it's on the radio, whether it's right in front of people, whether it's on the street corner, then what makes the difference is that you sincere for real. But like I said, the problem is a lot of the smaller churches, and especially certain denominations, they're traditional and they don't know how to get above that. I don't know if they're afraid to, or they just don't want to. They just stuck in their ways, some of them, whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is that it's amazing that you said that, because like you said, it have made a really big difference. And if everybody really see that, because this thing about it ain't about you, it ain't about the internet, it ain't about nothing. It's about reaching somebody. And however you got to reach them, that's how you do. Like Steve said, guess what? You got some firefighters, they can't go to, they work, they can't go to church on Sunday. Guess what? You got, like you said, Steve said, his mother, being elderly, she couldn't go to church. His grandmother, whatever. No, Scott said, guess what? There's people that, that can't get to church. What about them people? So what it is that if people finally come to the understanding that if they let those things go for real and see that, as long as it's about church and it's growing, the church to the point to where people are hearing the word of God. That's what it's about, hearing the word of God. And it don't matter whether you're sitting in front of them and hearing it, or you can hear it from the radio. There are people that have really got saved because they sit there and they heard Billy Graham or somebody, because they couldn't get to church. But they heard Billy Graham or somebody, and somebody might have been I know a young lady that was going to take her life, but she listened to Joyce Myers on the radio. And she said it changed her heart from taking her life, and she found Jesus. Well, she accepted Jesus, because Jesus ain't never been lost, but she accepted Jesus, she said. She said found, but I knew she meant accepted Jesus as her Savior. So guess what? We're losing a lot of people. We're missing a lot of people. We're not getting a lot of people because we're not allowing God's work to manifest wherever it needs to manifest.
Wow, brother. Well, let me ask you another one now. So that now we see the COVID thing, and we're seeing this plague. I heard you guys call it was a plague.
Yeah.
And I think we've all kind of determined that it's not that God's angry or mad at us, right? Do we all kind of agree?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So, Apostle Dedrick, you agree with that? It's not God's angry? Okay. So,
Yes.
do we think that this is an indicator then that we are in the last days? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Well,
no's and I see some yeses and I see a maybe just because I could read my brother a little bit. So
Well,
talk
well,
about
the
that
thing-
quick.
Okay, but the thing about it, so let me say this. The Bible also, we always really know, the Bible speaks of all these things that's happening. The Bible already speaks of them. And it tells us in Revelation that even in the last days, there are going to be wars and rumors of war. Now, this is the thing about it, because the Bible also said, but we don't know when Jesus is coming back. Because no, God ain't coming, Jesus is going to come back. We don't know when he's going to come back. But the fact of the matter is that, guess what? There are things that got to be fulfilled according to the Bible that's being fulfilled. I hear somebody say, this is terrible that all these things have happened. I hate this stuff happen. I wish that, I swear the true fact of the matter is that if it don't happen, that means God is a liar and God can't lie. Because he said all these things going to have to happen. He said going to be wars and rumors of wars, earthquakes in diverse places, nation against nation. There are going to be all kinds of diseases and pestilence in the land. So guess what? In order for things to come about and happen, they got to happen. These things have to happen. And before Jesus come back, they got to happen. So guess what? Now, as far as is we living in the last days? Yeah, but is the world finna end? I don't know. Nobody knows. Only God knows that.
What do y'all-
Only God knows.
What are y'all thinking about that? How about you, Steve? Let's see you.
I don't think it's the last days. I don't think the prophecy is even close to being fully fulfilled. But yeah, I think a lot of people are looking at this as like, okay, this is so much worse than everything else that we've seen in the past, where actually it's not. A lot less infections, a lot less deaths than SARS and MERS. MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. Remember that one? Guess what? That was a coronavirus. SARS was a coronavirus. And Brian, you are muted.
Sorry, I thought I hit the wrong button.
No.
No, I didn't know that, Steve. So
Yeah,
SARS was a coronavirus. Okay.
Yeah, they were both coronaviruses, and there are three types of coronaviruses that humans get on a regular basis that nobody really even knows about because they're so mild. And a coronavirus, y'all have all seen the pictures, the cartoon pictures of the coronavirus. It's round and it has all these nodules coming out. Those are coronas. That's why it's called a coronavirus. It's easily recognizable. So it's not like, okay, well, that wasn't really a coronavirus. It was. All coronaviruses are basically the same. This is COVID-19 just because it was discovered in 2019.
Well, I'm just saying it's not right to name a virus after the only beer that I actually like to drink. If you're going to call it something, why don't you call it like the Bud Light virus or something, not the coronavirus? But,
Well, corona means
not
crown.
to your whole keg.
All right, in Spanish, corona means crown. So it's
Oh,
don't confuse
Steve,
it.
look
It's
at
okay.
you. You're so smart. Your hair couldn't even handle it. That's great.
It's the micro.
Well, Bubba, we haven't heard from you on this. Are we in the last days or are we not?
I don't think. Here's the thing: you're not going to know when that day's coming, but I don't think that this is it. I mean, we don't. This is one of the worst things that we've seen as a generation, and there's been other things that have happened, but we don't know what's going to come down the line and what other stuff is coming. I mean, I do believe, and one of the pastors saying, I think God's upset with and saddened for us and what we're going through. But at the same part, I think there's a rejoice of knowing how many people are turning to him through all this. There's going to be so many good things come out of this bad situation. I know there will be. And with more and more people that now are connecting into the churches and this and that, there is a positive and I think a rejoiceful side for God to see that, hey, people are turning to me. And sometimes for us as people, we have to hit rock bottom for us to open our eyes and see that God's right there. And as much as I think God is saddened and feels the pain and everything that we're going through, there is a rejoicing, some good things, that are amazing positive things that will come out of this bad situation. I really believe that there will be.
Yeah, people can change, and changing for whatever reason, it doesn't matter what the reason you come to God. You come to God because you're scared, doesn't matter. You still came to God. If you come to God because you had a revelation, because you read about it, because you saw something happening around you, so there's no other reason, no other explanation. It doesn't matter. You can change. Everybody can change. And if you come to God for whatever reason, that's good, because anybody can change. It's as easy as Brian taking off his hat. He looks, it looks like a completely different. Well, here, I'll show you. See, there, completely different person. But it's, it's just one of those things. It doesn't really matter. The reasons behind it don't matter. It's the result. Most people say it's the destination, not the journey. It's the journey, not it's the journey, not the destination. In this case, hey, it's the destination.
Yes, agree.
So, the journey, how you get there doesn't really matter as long as you make it to that destination. If you make it to God, if you make it to believing in Jesus, that's the main point.
If you had to take a straight map, I think I'm hearing you right. If you had to take a straight path to him, or if you had to go through some trenches first, either way, as long as you end up with him.
Right.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
And the true fact of the matter is that, Brian, go ahead. The true fact of the matter is that, as Steve said, that's the truth. Because watch this. You got different people that have came to God from different events in life. If you think about it, stop and look at it, it's just true. Watch this. You got people that have came to him for maybe they was a killer, a rapist, or liars. They got incarcerated. Guess what? But wherever they accepted him at, that's what made the difference. All the difference to him. That's what made them to God, that they accepted him. And as Steve said, it don't matter how you come to God. Just come to him sincerely and open-hearted. He said, come as you are. That means even no matter how messed up we are, whether it's our heart, our situation. And guess what? He accepts us. He's going to accept us because he's God. But all he wants us to do is be sincere when we come to him and want him to change our heart from that old person we used to be. 2 Corinthians 5:17, it says, for if any man is in Christ, he's a new creature. Old things have passed away, and behold, all things become new. So as Steve said, no matter how you come, just come to him and come sincerely. And that's what God wants from us.
I understand that. And I agree with you. And actually, I disagree with some of what all three of you agreed with. Too bad we lost Pastor Dedrick. Pastor Dedrick, if you see this afterwards, I want to thank you so much for coming on, sharing your thoughts. I was hoping to really get your thought on this. So maybe we can have you back at another time. I'd love to have you back. And I personally believe that we are living in the end days. I personally believe that we are getting closer and closer to that day where Jesus is coming back. And I think we need to look towards that and look forward to that, because we see prophecy being fulfilled over and over and over again. Everything, one of the biggest ones, of course, is Israel. Israel is now a thing. It wasn't even supposed to be a thing according to man's idea, but Israel's now a huge thing. That's a huge prophecy. Then there's just prophecies left and right that are starting to get fulfilled. And I think that's a good indicator myself of point to, all right, Jesus is coming back soon. Let's get on our toes on this and expect that to happen, and not get so lackadaisical. We're just sitting back and say, he hasn't been here for 2,000 years. It ain't going to happen. So I think we need to look forward to that. But I want to thank each of you guys for coming on today. Steve Ball from USISB. We didn't get to talk about USISB, but I'd love to have you as a guest on another show. Thank you for coming back out. Scott Cowley's XL7. TV, awesome, extraordinaire managing guy that can do all that. Thank you for coming from the beautiful Mountain Home, Arkansas. And Pastor Charles Matthews, brother. Appreciate you. Appreciate all that. You guys will hear his bass here in just a minute as we close out. We will see you guys again on Monday night. So Monday night, 7 o'clock. We're a little bit late today just because we had technical difficulty, but 7 o'clock p.m. We invite your friends, and we'd love to see you. come on out. Bless you guys, and thank you all for everything you do.
Just as long as you stand by me. So won't you come on and stand by me? Oh, stand by me. If you're in need, you can stand by me. Stand by me.